We rise as one. The black stars shine in Ghana sky. Bafana, Bafana dance, spirits high. The Sablé antelopes leap with grace, and the desert foxes set the pace. One Africa, one goal. Feel the passion in your soul. From the mountains to the shore, we play for pride, we roar as one. Moja Africa, Moja Ndoto. One Africa, one dream. Uma Africa, umenti so. One Africa, one mind sing. Moja Africa, one Ndoto. Uma Africa, one mind sing so.
Anything Africa is beautiful. I believe you enjoyed this beautiful piece as an official song of the 2025 AFCON.
The indomitable lions never fall.
One Africa, one goal.
Zimbabwe stand tall.
Welcome to Inside AFCON. On this show, we paint the picture clearer.
And the leopard.
We get you closer to who is winning the 2025 AFCON. And we are live on 97.3 Citi FM. Welcome.
The scorpions sting with Gambia's.
Gentlemen are seated.
Curtis of Guinea-Bissau won't hide. Blow the vuvuzela out loud.
The fundamentals, Benjamin and Katia. Solid guy. In studios.
In every place.
Yao J Minta. Shining brother one. Oh, brother two. Hey, Chamia ma say I don't know.
Pride will prevail. One Africa, one goal.
Oh, J Minta with us here in the studio.
Feel the passion in your soul.
And Manuel Kwache. Manuel, why you called the coach by Adam? I don't love to call you the coach. Why?
No,
I know you're a Liverpool fan too, but why?
No, so one day when we're doing one of the shows, I think he was trying to clear the space for my name, and then Coach Christopher Nimley, but he only cleared the Christopher Nimley, and then he put Manuel Kwache. So it's been a running joke since. But
that's a nice joke, though. I love it. But hey, cool. Ben, you great?
Yeah, I'm good. I think that before we get into AFCON talk, some big breaking news coming through from the French Liga in relation to Ghana. Mohamed Salisu, obviously. Terrible news, actually. Suffered a cruciate ligament injury. If I remember correctly, this is his second cruciate ligament injury.
No, the first one he suffered was meniscus.
Meniscus.
Yes,
almost as serious, literally. And he was out for quite a while with that injury. Yeah. And so he suffered a cruciate ligament. I think it was a game against Olympique Lyonnais, meaning that his World Cup dreams are almost impossible.
Big blow for Ghana.
Impossible. I don't think he's recovering in time to join that squad. So this is essentially an end to Salisu's World Cup ambitions.
Is it a big blow?
It is a big blow. And it's ironic because I remember you and I have been going back and forth about Salisu's recent form and ability. And the truth is that he's been in actually really good form in the last 3-4 months or so. Probably the best form for any of our centre backs in recent times. So for me, I mean, I've not been his biggest fan in recent times, but I will be the first to admit that his form has been great. And if we were definitely taking centre backs to the World Cup, I mean, purely based on form, he would have been one of our first names on the list. So for us to lose him at this time, I think it's terrible.
Who does this opportunity open for?
Oh,
Joshi Champong? Or?
Oh, I mean that's a long stretch because he's not even expressed any interest in playing for Ghana. Not to talk about switching nationality. So that's a far stretch. But I think that as far as centre back is concerned, we have quite a number of names, and one of the names who's also probably coming back from injury and will be looking into this spot will be Abdul Mumin. Abdul Mumin, I think, is a more comfortable on the ball defender, better ball playing defender than Mohamed Salisu. Salisu is a little more aggressive, more rugged than Mumin. So Mumin immediately comes to mind. I could talk about the Prepra youngster for OGC Nice, I believe is where he plays the football. Jerome Opoku has been decent. I initially didn't think much of him, but he puts himself around really well. Very few centre backs use their height the way he does. Very athletic, gets about really well. I think he's also in that mix. We have quite a number of names actually if you look at centre back. So I'm not too worried about Jiku obviously will be in there, but I'm not too worried about centre backs. Only that I thought that for Salisu himself, this was a good spell of form. He'll be disappointed because I mean he was riding high, everything going your way, and then suddenly an injury that will take you a minimum of 6 to 8 months to heal. Not the best of news. I wish him all the best. Speedy recovery to him. Hopefully he makes a full recovery.
I guess you're now wishing that, best of luck for a country like Nigeria. Yesterday, what happened between Victor and
Lukman?
Yes. Look, has that gotten anything to do with how far they get in this tournament?
I want somebody else to touch on this first before I touch on this.
Let me move to you. I'll come to you because I know you're itching to speak. But let me start with you, Yao. I mean, you did a story on Citi Sports on online.com. Look, what picture is this painting?
That there are internal issues, major internal issues with the team, and that's one major factor I picked out as one of the reasons why I wouldn't name Nigeria as favorites to win the title, because you can clearly see that there are some tensions beneath the scenes, and they are bubbling up to the surface, and they do bubble up to the surface once in a while, but they manage to keep it under wraps, because at the end of the day, winning kills all ills. They are winning, and they've made it to the quarterfinal. So yeah, if we have issues, at the end of the day, we still managed to win the game convincingly, beat Mozambique by 4-0, and we managed to qualify to the quarterfinal. So yeah, we might have some major differences, and we don't need to be friends to be able to work together. But when you see things like the one that we saw last night, and this wasn't the first time that something like that had happened. Even in this tournament, even in the first game, Osimhen had a little bit of a run-in with some of his teammates. And Wilfred Ndidi, the captain, had to give a post-game presser, said that everything was under wraps, everything was okay. It wasn't a big deal. Victor Osimhen is a very competitive character, and that's how sometimes people misread his actions. And so they played it down. And then it happened last night. And so you can clearly tell that there are simmering tensions behind the scenes. And it's just a matter of when, not if, those tensions will blow out of proportion, and then might end up imploding Nigeria's chances of qualifying to the semi-finals and potentially winning the cup. And so for me, it shows that there are major issues happening behind the scenes, and the handlers are doing quite a good job of being able to manage it, because it's not easy managing the egos of these players, particularly when it involves two players who have won the Africa Cup who have won the Africa Footballer of the Year in recent years.
In consecutive years as well.
In consecutive years.
With Lukman taking it from Osimhen.
So it's a big deal. It is a big deal. Look, like I said, kudos to the Nigerian handlers. They are really doing a good job managing this issue, because it is not a good look. Yes, Victor Osimhen is an intense personality. We can clearly tell. He's very competitive. He wants to give it 100%, everything 100%, and that's true. But it happened in the spur of the moment. You had your issues, then you moved on. But clearly, he didn't move on. If you have a situation where 100% he's genuinely honest with his feelings and pure with his feelings and actions, he blasts the hell out of Ademola Lookman, and he's pissed. But ideally, he should move on, because he's emptied the tank. his emotional tank in that situation. So move on. But here's the case where there were clear signs that he hadn't moved on.
He was even trying to shut his captain up.
Oh, he slapped his hand away. Wilfred didn't try to calm him down. He slapped his hand away. But beyond that was in the heat of that moment. But after that incident, he got his coach to sub him off. He indicated to the bench that sub me off. They subbed him off. After the game, he didn't join his teammates in the huddle to celebrate the win.
Yeah.
And he left the pitch, went into the dressing room, changed, and was the first to head to the bus. So clearly, things are not going well. If it was a situation where, oh yeah, you are pissed,
who needs who most? Nigeria as a nation, a country, footballing country, or needing the player or the
Nigeria is not Sweden that needs Ibrahimovic constantly. Nigeria is a country that has abundance of talent. Cyril these days, one of their strikers, he even got injured and had to leave camp. Osimhen needs Nigeria more than Nigeria needs Osimhen. I mean, it's Nigeria. Over 200 million people. Are you telling me that they don't have as talented players as Victor Osimhen? Like I said, this is not Sweden, where they were every day they were begging Ibrahimovic to come and play for them. This is not Sweden. You get it? Nigeria is a country that is blessed with abundance of talent, just like Ghana. Nigeria does, when push comes to shove, Nigeria doesn't need Victor Osimhen. At the end of the day, looking at how Eric Shell has set up this team, with Akko Adams, with Ademola Lookman playing a little bit of a withdrawn role centrally behind two strikers. Last night it was Akko Adams and Victor Osimhen. And all of them, the 4 goals that they scored, all 3 were involved. Akko Adams got 2 assists and he got a goal. Lookman got an assist and a goal, and Osimhen got a brace. If you take Victor Osimhen out of that team, yes, they won't be as great as they are. But if you bring in someone like Cyril Dizier, it will work. If you bring in someone like, let's say you move, if you bring in someone like Victor Simon, it will work. Even if you bring in the tall, lanky, somewhat uncoordinated Paul Onuachu, it will still work. Although it will be different, but they will still be able to score goals because they are talented. Even Chidire Ejuke is not even getting starting minutes. Someone who plays consistent minutes for Sevilla. So Victor Osimhen is going about this the wrong way, and I honestly don't support his attitude. Yes, we know that you are a very passionate guy. We know that you are very raw and honest with your feelings. But in the spur of the moment, you deliver it. But after several minutes afterwards, he was still hot, and clearly it shows that there are serious issues or cracks in the team, and that's why I don't see them winning the title, because as soon as the frustrations build up a little bit, you see them imploding, and once you get to the quarterfinals, you're not going to be playing against Tanzania. You're not going to be playing against Mozambique. Even in that game they won against Tunisia, that 3-2. Trust me, the Tunisians are not the best, far from the best. If they had played against a solid team, they would have either drawn that game or lost, because you took a 3-0 lead. And the cracks started appearing. And the next thing you know, they've conceded 2 quick goals, and they had to defend for their lives to be able to win that particular game. And so when I look at all these happenings, it clearly tells me that, yes, I'm justified to believe that I don't see Nigeria winning the title.
Guys, we are live on YouTube on Citi Sports GHA. I mean, but this a big issue. It's a sensitive one indeed. But you can join the discussion on 0539 986 996. And Ben, I knew you had wanted to come in when you are.
Let's Kwache finish and then I'll come.
Fantastic. Kwache, Eric Shell, the manager for Nigeria, wading into this particular happening and says, and I quote, "This is the question about my management and what happened on the pitch. It will stay in the group. I keep it for me. And everything that happened in the life of the group will stay in the life of the group." Look, Nigeria craved for a big manager to help put this squad together. Now describes this scene or incident as one that stayed in the setup for a minute. You feel Eric Shell is already in trouble, and this might just jeopardize his chance of winning the AFCON, knowing that the World Cup is already, not in the picture?
For Eric Shell, I think he's at least before the tournament up to this point. I think he's done everything the right way. We've spoken about how the impact that he's had on the team, and how if he had probably been there from the start of their World Cup qualifying campaign, they may have been able to secure qualification.
Yeah.
So on the pitch, he's been incredible, but off the pitch, in a way I see a similarity to this situation to the Mo Salah situation. Although I come down on different sides, I see a slight similarity to the Mo Salah situation, and I see Eric Shell in a position where now he has a decision to make whether he backs his star player, because he realizes how much. Because as much as I appreciate that there are other forwards in the team who can have the same kind of impact, but you would agree with me that Victor Osimhen is still the best of the option. And going into the latter stages of the competition, the quarters, semis, and the finals, you probably want your best player fit. Obviously, dependent on whether or not it will have an impact on the team. On the situation of Osimhen himself, this is becoming habitual. When I think it was the tournament before the last tournament, when Finidi George was the coach and then he was out, and then someone else came in mid-tournament, and then they had a problem with Osimhen because he went on social media to complain about the coach. He's been given certain rope, and that's the point where I need to understand where, as good as he is, and the same thing with Salah, how much do you let him get away with before it starts to impact your team? Because the irony of the situation is, Lookman, he scored twice.
Aubameyang, for example, am I good to say misbehaves to a certain extent?
Not to this extent, but yes, but fair enough.
Not to this extent, but to a certain extent. And it's omitted. There's a statement out there, and the player is saying, "Well, it's not even me. There's a lot of happenings." You sense this thing as a deeper crack in why African football and our stars, or if you want our nation, is not getting to that level, especially the so-called bigger footballing countries in Africa. Getting to that level where we should be seeing them.
I don't know. I think there's more structural problems that come into play. Obviously, this is a factor. This is, at least in terms of Nigeria, I can say that this is probably one of the reasons why they didn't qualify to the World Cup. Because drawing twice against Rwanda and like teams like this, when you should be to qualify for a World Cup, that problem. If you have this sort of dynamic within your team, it creates a lot of problem. But the irony for the situation is, if you watch the man, Lookman actually had 3 assists, and for all of Osimhen's goals, he gave him the assist. So the problem with it is, if it's something where the whole team can see can understand their point of making. With Salah's only, everyone, maybe you don't understand why he's frustrated for being dropped 3 games in a row, but some way, somehow, you can appreciate why the player will be frustrated. For Osimhen, it's very difficult to see what exactly his problem was beyond petulance. And like Yao says, it's also about the level to which he went to show his point. If you express your frustration a certain way and you don't go beyond that, that's fine. But to almost make it like to make how do I say this, to create a situation where there wasn't a situation, and now you have a situation where, like, go back to your point about Eric Shell, he now needs to decide whether whether the amount of strength he's willing to show in this situation. Because if he allows Osimhen to get away with this, a lot of players within the team will be like, I can, at any point, if I'm frustrated, I can show my frustration and just say like, oh, okay, yeah, this is our team dynamic. So I think in terms of Eric Shell, he needs to. This is going to be very vital for how the rest of his tenure as a Nigeria head coach goes. Because Nigeria have an ability to self-sabotage, and his ability to deal with this situation and to deal with the egos of probably his biggest players and how it affects his team. For the rest of the team, like you said, while he was on the team bus, his players were giving interviews saying this is not a problem. Lookman was standing in the mix zone saying that I don't have an issue. Osimhen is a passionate guy, but deep down, if you know players and if you know how they behave, this will have an impact on them. So in terms of Eric Shell, he needs to decide how he sets a precedent for the rest of the team.
In Nigerian pidgin, Ben, there's a newspaper, Punch, which describe what was happening. And reading the lips of the player, it says, quote, "No try 'em again." No. Look, it might sound as funny as it is, but
There's a bit of an audio where
No try am
with
again.
Osimhen, no try am again, and Ademola Lookman says, "Bro, you have 2 goals. You scored 2 goals."
Yeah.
Then the back and forth went on. Then they quickly snapped out of it.
You know what I think of
No,
Deco?
what do you think?
I'm always a little sad when individuals or camps that have all the tools to be great decide to major on the minors and minor on the majors. And that's what Nigeria have been up to for a minute. If you look at the hirings that the Super Eagles have made over the last 3 or 4 individuals, Jose Pesero, Finidi George, Austin Eguavon, Eric Chell, I think that they are all really quality managers.
Okay.
I think that the one thing holding Nigeria back points back to these type of little squabbles. Now I'll take you back to Truce de Kong deciding to retire just before the AFCON.
Let's go there.
This makes a lot more sense right now. And if you think about it, I think that there's a lot going on in the background with Nigeria, and that the fact that they go onto the pitch and still manage to get a result in the manner in which they do is a miracle, actually.
Wow.
I'm not sure what Osimhen's problem is, but maybe I'll sound unpopular saying this. If I am Eric Chell, I am the Nigerian Football Federation, I will cut him loose.
You're doing the Gabon move.
I will cut Osimhen loose quick.
That's one of your best players.
Because look, I don't care. Nigeria, Osimhen is a great player. I think that if he continues to play and stay healthy, he's probably on song to become their top scorer ever.
He's actually 3 goals away from becoming Nigeria's all-time
Exactly.
top scorer. I think
But
34 in
you see-
50 games, which is an incredible record.
Yeah, you made a point, and I was going to make an analogy that Nigeria has a lot of great players, and in fact, the irony of this situation is that Osimhen and Lookman, the player he was arguing with, went back to back in CAF Player of the Year.
Yeah.
That alone should tell you
There's tension between the two.
it should tell you that you are not irreplaceable.
Okay.
If you watched Ademola Lookman in that Europa League final, look, there is nothing, if there's a word like that, football-y possible, that Osimhen is capable of doing that Lookman is not capable of doing. The numbers
these
might
are
be
huge words
No,
to
I'm
put
saying
together.
the numbers might be different. Lookman might have bloomed late. He might not have the goal scoring ratio numbers of Osimhen. But again, I'm putting it on record. There is nothing Victor is capable of doing that Ademola is not capable of doing. Not a better dribbler, not a better first touch, probably more power, more
Irreliability.
athleticism, and more irreliability. But Lookman is equally capable a player. And I'm surprised at Victor's behavior on the pitch because, like Kwache pointed out, everything Nigeria did positive in the game ran through him. Everything from assist, he was in situations where I even thought he should be selfish. He was passing the ball. And so I'm not sure exactly what Victor's problem was. And like you mentioned, if you have a player who is supposed to be a leader, he's
in
supposed
Victor.
Exactly. You are expected to show a certain exemplary level of behavior. And so far, he's done absolutely the opposite. From the Finidi George incident, from the World Cup incident, I think that was the DR Congo game when he I don't know if he was injured. Till today, we don't know what really happened. They say he had a knock, but I don't believe it. Based on everything else that happened, I don't even believe it. Now, what is happening is that he is creating a toxic atmosphere in the team. Look, you win 4-0. There is no reason why this should be our discussion. Absolutely none. This should not be our discussion. We should be discussing how fluid you've been, how much free scoring a side you've been, a side that looks confident, and a side that's
and
going-
how you were becoming the country's top scorer.
That is
How
it.
glamorous that is.
I'm not sure how this has become the conversation, and it speaks to his character. I think that all things being equal, Osimhen should be Nigeria captain. The fact that he's not captain alone should tell you something.
You think he's
If
worried
Truth-
with that?
If Truce Ekong steps away, Osimhen should be Nigeria captain. I don't think he's been there longer than Ndidi. But
You feel that has fueled this mannerism or behavior?
it is possible. I don't even know for a fact, but I'm saying that he doesn't have to be wearing the band to show a certain level of leadership. And as at now, he's stinking up the joint. It's not like he's not. It's not like he's not scoring. it's not like he's playing badly. Like everything appears to be going well, but some way, somehow, you are grumpy and unhappy. And you can never, ever make progress with unhappy players. Look,
True.
Tournaments are won, or trophies by footballers are won by individuals wanting to do things for each other. Like Lookman can see a goal scoring opportunity, but can see that Osimhen is in a better chance to convert the chance and decide to give him the ball. That's how tournaments are won. If you are not ready to make sacrifices for your teammates, you won't win a tournament. The teams that play for each other, they are the ones who go on to win. Look, in terms of, I always say that in terms of top level football, tactics, quality of personnel, all those things will cancel out at some point. When you are in the most difficult of games, it is your sacrifice for each other, your ability to have your brothers back when you go into battle. Those are the things that make the difference for you. And if Osimhen, whom I think is supposed to be their prime warrior or general when they go to battle, is behaving like this, then the whole troop is in trouble. So for me, they need to do a proper introspection. Like we've established there, we don't know in depth what the issues are in the background, but this can't continue, especially with somebody like him. And I dare say that they will not miss him if they cut him loose. He definitely needs Nigeria more than Nigeria needs him, because Nigeria has produced a lot of great players, and he will not be the last great player that Nigeria produces.
I mean, just to look behind the curtain, I think the point you raised is also important, where he asked to be substituted. So the reason I think he's probably upset is he's on 2 goals and he probably wants a hat trick, and in his mind he's probably been in better positions and he wasn't given the ball. I don't know whether that's just
he's not serious
or not.
He's not
but
serious.
I also think it's very crucial to look at the fact that while immediately he was frustrated and asked to be substituted, the bench obliged. And that shows, I don't say if it's, but it shows who is in charge in the federation, or in terms of team selection and things like that. And I think that's slightly worrying. If he has the amount of power that he can then decide that, you know what, I've had enough of this game, I want to come off myself, and then immediately they oblige and make that decision to give him what he wants. I think that's a dangerous culture to have.
Yeah, he hasn't done enough for the Super Eagles to be asking for that type of. What has he done for
That's
them?
50.
What has he done? No.
50,
Has he has
34 games?
I mean,
how many? Has he won an AFCON yet?
he hasn't won
No,
an
he
AFCON.
hasn't won an AFCON yet.
He hasn't won an AFCON, and actually, he
stop
hasn't been
it.
the best at the AFCONs
He should
that
stop
he's
it.
played.
He should stop it.
Yeah, he hasn't been the best at the AFCONs. I mean, look at the last AFCON that they made it to the final.
Yeah.
He wasn't the best player in the team.
Ahmed Musa is a bigger legend for the Super Eagles than Victor Osimhen.
That one is
You've
fact.
not seen a World Cup before. You've not won an AFCON before. So why are you raising your shoulders? Why are you asking to be
get it.
treated specially? I don't understand.
And the substitution that he called for, one fan posted that video on X. And he said, if I was the coach, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't substitute him. I'll keep him on. Just like Jose Mourinho did to Ibrahimovic some time back at Inter Milan. He made him stay on the
We'll
pitch.
finish the game.
Play the game. Because I'm the one in charge. You don't tell me when you want to come off the pitch. I'm the coach. If things go bad, you will still be receiving your salary. I will get cut loose.
Yeah.
So I determine when you come off the pitch, not the
It's
other
not
way
serious.
around. So you stay on the pitch. I decide when you come off the pitch. Look,
I won't even be shocked if this is why a lot of the mainstream clubs in Europe have sidestepped. You remember the Chelsea move was almost done. Apparently, reportedly, he and his agents kept moving the line on how much
I'd
money
wanted
they
to do
wanted,
that, yeah.
how much bonuses they wanted. They just kept moving the line every time there was an agreement close by. It's possible that this attitude is why some of the big teams don't want to deal with you.
Yeah, I want us to move away from this
Yeah.
conversation, but it's a sensitive issue. Look, you feel because we are, you know, in that line of calling guys who are born in the other part of the country to join us, you know, when we get to national calls. You have a few Lagos-born Osimhen, London-born Nigerian Lookman. Is it playing anything?
Oh, those tensions are there. They'll be there. I mean, like, it's very good you pointed that out, because we tend to forget that those things exist in Nigeria as well. Like the same tensions of, okay, when did you come? Like, I've been around here for the longest time. All I'm saying is, like, there's a certain, if you go to Nigeria now, there's a certain pedestal that they've put Osimhen on. It's not just a footballing thing. It's their social circles, political circles. Like, they've allowed him to feel a certain type of way. Like, they are giving Osimhen like Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi level treatment. Bro, he has not arrived at that pinnacle. No, I'm serious. Any Nigerian listening to this, and I'm not saying this based on his ability. Footballing ability wise, he's definitely up with the best finishers in the world. But I'm saying that on the basis of achievement with your national team especially, you are nowhere near that level where you want to be walking on clouds. You want people to roll red carpets out for you when you walk, and when they don't, you are upset and you request to be substituted. You dress up and go and sit in the bus. You should drive the bus and go. Drive the bus
and in the mixed zone, he just walked past the journalist.
He's not
He
serious.
just walked past the journalist and greeted one guy that he's familiar with. He just shook hands with him.
You are one of the biggest stars at the AFCON.
He moved over to the bus. He went to sit in the bus. And now indeed he has to come in again, and it goes like, oh yeah, they are two passionate people. They are competitive.
He has to do damage control.
He has to do play politics with the whole thing. Like,
come on, it doesn't bode well for the team.
Guys, we are live on YouTube, Citi Sports GHA. This is Inside AFCON 2025 on 0549-986-996. You are free to send your thoughts in relation to what we discussed. We spent about 30 minutes on this issue. Look, like Ben indicate, we should be talking about
tactics. Other matches previewing.
Charlie, what is this? What is this we do?
No, but also Nigeria is big. You know, they are our neighbors. There are a lot of Nigerians down here, so I'm sure this conversation will interest a lot of people. But
so great. So a few messages, then we'll go into other matters. Tosin Dieku says Nigeria didn't qualify for the World Cup because they had 4 different managers during the qualification. He comes back again and says, I think he want to say, the players politicking and all of that, summed up.
It definitely shows on the pitch. When you see the ball, you don't want to pass the ball. It shows on the pitch.
It's crazy. Why will you keep an unhappy player on the pitch? I think Ben. It's in relation to what you say. Let him play.
Let him play, because at the end of the day, when that bus stop happened, guess what? It was in the 63rd minute. Nigeria were leading 3-0. So you are more or less and Mozambique is not Tunisia, who can deliver some kind of a comeback or a fight back. So at the end of the day, leave him on. There's no threat to your lead. Leave him on. Let him play. Let him play out his anger.
But you don't feel he divides the squad more if he's on the pitch?
Let him play out his anger. At the end of the day, you decide when to take him off. He doesn't decide when he wants to come off. You send a message right there on the pitch in the line of action, so that he knows who is boss. But he says substitution. And I know that he has some injury issues. He has an injury record. So you ideally want to take him off. But in this instance, let him play. If he gets injured in the game, at the end of the day, the next game, you will find a replacement for him. It's not like Nigeria are bereft of talent. They have a lot of talent. If he is messing up, let him play on the pitch. Let him stay in the game, play on the pitch till he's tired, and he gets all that anger out of him before you bring him back to the bench. Not the other way around, where in the heat of the moment he says, "Oh, sub me." Then you sub him more. Then as soon as the game is done, he walks into the dressing room. He gets on the bus, and he doesn't participate in the huddle. He doesn't participate in any post-game presser. That for me is where I have an issue. I don't have an issue with you being intense. I don't have an issue with you being competitive.
The manager should have instructed him straight away.
No, let me read a tweet from one Nigerian online who's been following. So Monye Morris says that maybe we should start looking away from Osimhen after the AFCON and finding a replacement. But for now, let's focus on the boys getting the cup. No one on earth is indispensable. And then a couple more Nigerians coming and say, exactly, we've made the whole tournament about his behavior instead of the trophy. He's our star. He came short, and we need to move on from him. So you can tell that the sentiments are growing.
Crazy, isn't it?
But if you want to focus on winning the cup, and this behavior continues, how are you going to win the cup?
That's a big question.
So you need to take action.
And just a quick point on what Yao said. That's why I like the Mourinho example, because Mourinho is one of the few coaches who realizes that the optics of like football, we live in it's a media, like the media is there when
Mm-hmm.
you are playing football. The optics of how it looks is almost as important as what is actually happening. And for it to seem like you don't have as much control or how do you call it, control or respect from the players who are playing underneath you.
Yeah.
I think just for that fact,
Yeah.
he should have stuck to his guns and kept us.
He has definitely undermined his manager, and this is the second time. The first one was the DR Congo qualifier when he asked to be taken off. The second time is this incident that he's carried out.
And this was the second time he had a bust up at this AFCON. The first game against Tanzania, he had a bust up with one of his teammates, and indeed he had to calm down. I'll fetch the specific name. Indeed he had to come out in the post game presser to say that it's no big deal. He's just a passionate guy. He's competitive.
He has turned his captain into a PR machine. That's coming.
Victor Osimhen, no try him again.
One
No
of them,
try him again.
there was. I watched a little bit of segments of Nigerian, TV stations, morning breakfast shows and all that. And one journalist made the brilliant point that if you are doing this in front of the whole world, then I wonder what is happening in the team hotel. I really wonder what is happening in the team hotel.
Facts.
Because if you are doing this,
when everybody can see,
everyone can see, the whole world can see, multiple cameras, multiple cameras,
multiple microphones around the pitch.
Mobile phones, cameras are all over, and you are doing this. You see, again, I go back to that point. In the heat of the moment, I don't have a problem with you reacting that way. In the heat of the moment, you tell your boy, don't try. That thing, you should have passed me the ball. I want that hat trick.
Yeah.
You gloss over it. The corner kick comes in, you continue playing the game, then you ask your coach to get substituted. If I'm Marichal, I wouldn't do it. But Marichal went ahead and he did it. Fine, it ends there. Once the game was done, you join the team huddle. You celebrate the win.
Yeah.
You join your teammates to go to the bus.
Disrespect to the fans.
But you didn't join the team huddle.
That's great.
You didn't join the team huddle. You went straight to the bench and went to the dressing room and then onto the team bus. Nah, that for me is a bit overboard.
It's simple. Osimhen, no try him.
No try him again.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Nigeria need to hire to go back to bench, but need to hire maybe a Zidane. Accept that all their players have egos and get Zidane, Ancelotti, one of these players.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Off the boots. It's not serious.
Danny Obila says Tolu Oroko Dare is of Wolves is a Nigerian, and he thinks he's an option as well. Watching you live from Lome inside Togo. He wasn't running anymore. Talk of keeping.
That's
keeping
even more reason you should keep him on. If he's not running, let him stay on the pitch. He can vent for all he can.
Ibrahim Ismail. I don't know if I got that right, but says the coach is even scared of him. Joel Findel Nana Fosu Apioko says Ademola Lookman has been Nigeria's best player over the last two AFCONs. A super player, he had. Andre Moshesheke says you Ghanaians have the same unnecessary reference for the Ayew family. Just last Friday, coach and them used a huge chunk of the first half of the program sucking up the big news of Andre finding a club. Anyway, that's your thought. That's a
good observation.
No, but it's something that needs to stop either way. Whether they do it or we do it, it's something that needs to end.
That's a good observation.
Let me do one on the WhatsApp call so then we'll move. Ghana Folks Live at Ashaman says, hey Ben, you always take us to the literature class. Boss, you are very good. You're a very good speaker. He adds. So Ben, that's your shout out.
Yes. So the first instance of Osimhen acting out of line, it was their first game against Tanzania. He got substituted. He got substituted, and he was pissed with the coach Eric Shell for substituting him. And he didn't even acknowledge when he tried to give him a handshake.
Cool.
He was pissed, and so it's not the first time it has happened.
Fair point.
Even in this tournament that you played just 4 games, it's happened twice.
Fair point. Go try him again like you're scooted by the punch. So Nigeria beat Mozambique by 4-0. Then there was Egypt who beat Benin by 3-1. Guys, I just want a minute to touch on Egypt because we spent a lot of time on Nigeria. Then we get into today's games, one which is kicking off in some few minutes. Egypt, Benin. Let me start. Let me start with you, Kwachi. Mo Salah. You made an example mentioning Mo in that situation. You feel or have this thought that look, whatever that played out at Liverpool still lingers on this gentleman's mind, and that's we've not seen him as we've seen the likes of Diaz and all of that.
Actually, quite the opposite. I think that he, although he struggles slightly adjusting to Egypt sometimes, I think he's playing like he has a point to prove.
Okay.
And obviously, that doesn't always manifest itself in the goals and assists. But I think that's also in his mind. Because going back to Liverpool now, given the way the manager has behaved before, I don't think his place in the starting lineup is guaranteed. So I think the best way he can, at least for himself, in terms of moving on from this tournament and beyond that, is to, how do you call it, to finally get his hands on this trophy. Because that's the one thing that I think that might just change the narrative around him. Maybe once he wins that, realizes he's won everything at Liverpool, he can just decide that he wants to move on, go to Saudi, try something else. But I think this is, at least in terms of the AFCON, this is probably his best. And realistically,
I mean, yesterday he had 8 touches in the box, in the opposition box.
he scored. Haaland gets 5 touches in a game, and he's able
Fair
able to score. And that's the thing where I've seen AFCONs where he has carried them, and then he loses in the final, and no one wants to talk about it again because like he didn't win the tournament. And that's why I think in this tournament the priority has to be winning it, not necessarily just because he's been in 2 AFCON finals. There are not a lot of players in this generation who can say they played in 2 AFCON finals. So just for that, I think right now his priority is at least trying to see if they can secure the trophy. Against Benin, they struggled a bit more than I thought they would, which is to be fair. But I still think that it's in this tournament football, apart from Nigeria, surprisingly, even Morocco look like when it gets to certain opponent, they struggled against Mali and they struggled against Tanzania with above Brahim Diaz's goal, which even that I think the keeper could have done slightly better. But you are seeing a situation where the teams that you think are outright favorites are not necessarily beating the opponents with a margin or to the extent that you think they will. So I just think he'll be glad to get a win. And for him, but to be fair to him, because of the shifting of the AFCON calendar, the fact that there's one in 2027 and 2028 means that realistically he can still be active and still challenge for more AFCON titles. But if you look at it, this is probably his best opportunity to win one at his current age, and I think he'll just be pleased to get through to the next round.
Hopefully we have Ghana in the next AFCON playing against Egypt.
You have to qualify first.
Fair point. Yeah, Egypt an all-round team. That's the result we see against Benin.
I think they just outlasted Benin because of the quality that they have. And that was pretty much it. I wasn't impressed with their win. I haven't been impressed with the way they've performed so far in this tournament. And again, it just justifies my decision not to pick them as one of the favorites to win the title. I think they are too dependent on Mo Salah being able to work magic. And in 2026, those moments are few and far between. He can get you the goal, but as in do what, let's say, Brahim Diaz did for Morocco in their game against Tanzania. Those moments are very difficult to come by these days because he's not the same player as he was.
I mean, to be fair, has Salah ever really had clutch moments? I mean, he's more of a consistency guy than showing up at the final or the big stages. Maybe that's slightly unfair on him, but I don't remember him scoring in a Champions League final, the Premier League final. Like there've been a lot of.
Look, when it gets to a Mo Salah conversation and a Ronaldo conversation, I can leave you and Ben.
Yeah, so that's where the thing is. So back in the day, he would perform well, and maybe in the lead up in the final, he would go a bit ghost. Yeah, where he wouldn't perform, he would go a bit anonymous. He wouldn't perform well. But these days, in the lead up to the final, which we are seeing at the AFCON and the last AFCON, he's not even getting the job done. So that's where the bigger issue is. And so they are not able to get that version of Mo Salah. And on top of that, collectively, they are pretty much solid. But when you meet teams, particularly at the quarterfinal stage, where just mere having good organization won't be able to get the job done, you need to be able to give us something or provide something to be able to ensure that you get enough goals to be able to qualify to the next stage. And knowing very well that look, they are going to meet either the winner of Cote d'Ivoire or Burkina Faso. Yeah, I just don't see them being able to make another step in the tournament. So yeah, they got the job done against Benin. I mean, but if you look at the goals Benin scored, particularly that all-important second goal, I mean, the keeper must really bow his head in shame. That was terrible goalkeeping. There was no way he should have been beat by that header, that looping header.
That looping
no
header.
way he should have been beat by that header. And so those are some of the little breaks that they've been able to get, and it's just down to the fact that they haven't really played any major tough team. You look at the games that they've played, they haven't really played any major tough team. So for me, I wasn't surprised that they got the 3-1 win.
Cool.
It's just something that I expected, and it was down to the fact that they had a little bit more quality than Benin, and that's how it played out.
I really
So no
loved,
surprises.
Ibrahim Ismail says, I really loved Benin's resilience yesterday. The game was late, I believe you want to add. Ben, it's Algeria, DR Congo at 4 p.m. You know, just when we just exit the studio, the game will be happening. Algeria looks more, you know, as one of the North African countries who look much more organized, you know, going into this particular fixture. But for Congo, do you have a feel they are in for this party, and we might just have a surprise package of the AFCON in this fixture?
This is the fixture.
Why do you say so?
This is the game.
Why do you say so?
So DR Congo, I believe, are undefeated in 8 consecutive matches coming into this game. So that's obviously going to be a tough nut for any team to crack. Algeria, I think also, Algeria won all their 3 group games again. So in a really good place. Very solid mix of experience, grit, and flamboyance. They have it all, really. Dribblers, goal scorers, passers, breakup players, and they showed it on the pitch. I like Algeria for one reason. I always say that a lot of individuals, teams, coaches conceptualize how they want to play football. Very few teams can conceptualize their football and implement it on the pitch. Algeria do that to a very good degree. The football is eye-catching. They will score eye-catching goals. They will engage you the whole of the game. The problem, though, is that DR Congo, I believe, are no respecter of reputations. And if you've seen how they've gone through the qualifiers, i.e. the World Cup qualifiers, up until the point where they've made it to the playoffs, and I'm tipping them to go all the way to the World Cup, this is going to be as good a game as it gets. I'm looking forward to the tactical matchups. I'm looking forward to seeing how Algeria attempt to break down what I think is one of the best defenses in the competition. So Chancel Mbeba, Twanzebe, Masuaku, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It's absolutely, it's a tight unit. It's as tight as it gets. Every now and then, Twanzebe can be a little eccentric, but minus that, I think this is as good a team as it gets. I feel like it's one of those games where
playing a 5-3-2.
Exactly, it's one of those games that again might be won with a dead ball.
Okay.
DRC have proven that they can be pretty formidable in the air. Cedric Bakambu, I believe, he's come out big for them a lot of times. It doesn't get a lot of mention, but he's been there whenever they've needed him. Very difficult to mark player. And so for this team, I think for this game, I believe the margin for error will be very, very small. You could make probably one mistake the whole game, and it might be the difference between going home and progressing to the next phase of the tournament. And so both managers will be cautious, I want to believe, from the early exchanges in the game to try and see, try and size up their opponents and see how it goes. But I won't be shocked, right, if this is the kind of game that goes probably all the way to penalties. It has that kind of feel for me.
You look at their form in the last 5, and it's telling.
It has that kind of feel for me. So I'm looking forward to a good game. Hopefully we can see some good goals. We can hopefully the game is not an anticlimax. A lot of the times when you anticipate games of this nature, like I said, they can tend to be overly tactical and overly cautious. And in the end, the neutral fan who is trying to enjoy football might not get their time's worth. And so I just hope it won't become that kind of game. Hopefully we can see some free-flowing attacking football, some good goals as well.
Great. Yeah, we're going to see some good goals. Competitive. Is it going? Is it crossing the 90 minutes mark this game?
I don't see it traveling beyond 90 minutes, but it's going to be very tense. It's going to be very competitive. But looking at the way the two teams have carried themselves in this tournament, the quality that either team has, the margins are pretty very fine, and the differences are pretty non-existent because for the most part they cancel each other out. And so to have to come down to the team that has been in a high-pressure situation, particularly connected to recent years or in recent times, that has been able to ride that wave of expectation, that has been able to come out of a sticky, high-pressure situation to be able to win this tie. And I have to give it to DR Congo because, look, you battled Cameroon. Yeah. Then you came out, you won. Then you battled Nigeria, went to extra time, went to penalties, and you came out on top. You won. You are battle tested.
Okay.
You are battle tested. And when you consider that to Algeria had the last 3 AFCONs. Yeah, 3 AFCONs since they won 2021-20. So the last 2 AFCONs, they haven't been able to do well. They haven't been able to do well. The last 2 AFCONs, they've exited at the group stage. Most of the members of the team that won that AFCON, they've moved on in their careers. They've retired from the national team. Just a few remain, the likes of Riyad Mahrez. And so you don't have enough of those players who have been battle tested in such high pressure moments to be able to come out and deliver the goods. Unlike DR Congo, who finished 4th at the last AFCON and have built on that by bringing in more quality players who have been exposed to the big leagues in the world because they were born in those countries, Belgium, France, the Netherlands, England and co. And are playing top level football. And now they've been able to put them together and they've gone through the fire of World Cup qualifiers. They dropped points or they disappointed a little bit in their game against Senegal, their World Cup qualifier against Senegal, where they held a 2-0 win, a 2-0 lead, and some way, somehow, they crumbled, and Senegal ended up winning that game by 3-2 in DR Congo. And ever since that period, so that was a major learning test for them. Okay. And ever since then, they've been on a brilliant run that has included winning must-win games against Cameroon and against Nigeria to be able to qualify for the World Cup playoffs in the intercontinental playoffs. So having seen them go through that, having seen them play Senegal at this AFCON and see them being able to get a point from that game, win the other 2 games, and get to this point. I think they are battle tested, and I take them to edge this game against Algeria.
Interesting. Let's do Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso. That's the defending champion up against Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso themselves, they've showed their mettle so far in this competition, and I mean getting to this stage tells the full story, isn't it? But this is their first meeting, the first meeting between these two nations at the AFCON since 2012. Would that play any part in this game?
No, I think that's how do you call it? Ivory Coast being defending champions. Well, I think it just puts a lot of pressure on them coming into this game. Okay, and and that's the only thing that worries me about the situation. I think previously at the last AFCON. When they came into games, because they had lost their manager, and I don't know if Cameroon is similar in that sense in this tournament, but it means that they almost assume that they come into with less fear and less pressure because they come in as underdogs, so they feel underrated. But in this tournament, just by the fact that they are defending champions, it means a lot of attention naturally would have been on them, but there's also a lot of expectation. And that's where I wonder if Burkina Faso, in the tournament, we've had some upsets. but I don't think we've had at least in this knockout round. I don't think we've had, obviously, like we're speaking about the Cameroon South Africa game yesterday.
Yeah.
But with that one, I think they are both big teams, and one team had to progress through. So either way you look at it, the other team could have been disappointed that they didn't get through. But looking at this game, it's less evenly tied. But this was one of the games where I think maybe Burkina Faso can use a psychological advantage of not being expected to win the game, not being expected to win the match, as an advantage to themselves, and then try and use that to see how well they can test this Cote d'Ivoire team, who have, I mean, to be fair to them, they have done okay in the tournament. I think the game against Cameroon, that was but other than that, I think that they've been okay in the tournament, and they would definitely like to progress through to the quarterfinals. But I think Burkina Faso will be a big test.
Wow. Now, is it going to be a big test? Like, Kwachi Riley Paint, big test for maybe Ivory Coast? They're the defending champions. Do you think there's still pressure on them? And all
yes.
that?
There's still pressure on them because there are still major question marks about them. Despite they winning the AFCON. I mean, you look at the circumstances that went for them to be able to win the AFCON. Yeah, it just brings about more major questions than actual clarity.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, a lot of lucky breaks went in their favor for them to be able to win the AFCON. And so, yeah, there's that cloud hanging over them, that big question mark cloud. As in, will they be able to, even if they are not able to successfully defend the title, will they be able to make it to the semi-finals? That's the big question. And this is another major test for them to be able to do so, because Burkina Faso are a very good side. And yesterday, I made mention of the potential of us getting a major shock in this AFCON at the knockout stages. And yeah, just this game could just be the game that delivers the biggest shock that we've seen so far. So far, we haven't seen any major shocks, with the exception of
Maybe
Cameroon. Cameroon beating
South Africa, but even that is not necessarily an upset. It's just
So like I explained yesterday, in the context, it was a bit of an upset. But if you want an upset in its rawest form, yes, this will be a situation where we'll be able to get that. As in Burkina Faso beating Cote d'Ivoire, that will be a true.
What's your prediction before we go?
For that particular game, I definitely see DR Congo beating Algeria. For this game between Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso, I think this is the game that might go to penalty shootout, and Burkina Faso might just edge it.
All right, your prediction?
I'm kind of in the same way. I'm going for an upset day. I think DR Congo should go through, and I think Burkina Faso should also be able to take out Ivory Coast.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Yao Ejay Minta. Thank you, Manuel Kwachi, Angelo, and first off, Benjamin Nkatia as well.
The Sablé antelopes leap with grace, and the
I am Bernard, a baker chain, and Jubi Riafia Kantang is ready with news at 4.
from the mountains to the shore, we play for
And we head straight into it. Jubi, how are you?
I'm good, Abeko. How are you?
I'm fantastic as
I
well.
want me to say Bernard Abeko.
Look, about 27 seconds into the news. This game, what's your prediction? Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast and who?
Ivory Coast and Algeria, DR Congo.
Algeria. I'm not so sure about them, so let's do DR Congo and wish them. Manuel says yes. So I guess they are the winning team. Hopefully. Yeah.
All right, great. Let's get into it now.
Okay. Coming up, President Mahama vows to